Alright, I know I've been teasing you guys a lot on stream of this guide that we have been making for the past month or so. I've been just kind of lazy about it, so it took this while. But hey, finally here we are. We finally finished the guide for skill, overload, and cube suggestions. So we have the skill suggestions, overload suggestions, cube suggestions. For this, I am not gonna bore the entire people in this video, so you guys read it if you want to, but I'll just point out like the big important things to talk about. In particular, there's some general knowledge that a lot of people are kind of aware of already, like, oh, you know, go for attack, max ammo is like good, something like that. But I'll talk about a few things that it's worth considering. One thing is elemental damage. It is actually a huge consideration in late game builds right now, and now that we're getting more and more units, elemental damage is going to be a lot more important later down the road when we start building in like specific units for specific bosses. And like, for example, like in the last Union raid, Dorothy was water, and I had overload on Dorothy, and she ended up just being like a main DPS. She did more damage than my Maxwell because she had elemental damage also. It's not just because she is high DPS. Well, part of it is because she is a good DPS also, but the elemental damage is starting to become a lot more. We're noticing it a lot more. There's a bigger effect that we're noticing on it. But for example, the thing is, like, by default, elemental damage is only 10%. So we are not seeing like an advantage of being elemental advantage. So like if I use like Maxwell or Snow White against Stormbringer, we were only getting 10% more damage. However, if you look at the values of elemental damage, by default it's like 23%, and it can get up to 29%. So you're making that, if let's say we got 20%, which is like tier 9, you're going from 10% to 30% multiplier. So it's a lot more considerable damage increase. And so in overload, elemental damage is actually kind of a huge thing because it's actually a separate multiplier compared to everything else. For if you think about it, put it on like a real DPS, Snow White, Maxwell, Alice, if they are actually elemental advantage on like the boss, they will deal way more damage. That's one of the biggest things that I wanted to mention for elemental damage. For charge damage, let's say you have a 20% charge damage and Snow White has her burst as 1000. What it does is it goes from 1000 to 1020. It's not that big of a change, but for sniper rifles and rocket launchers, they're not bad to consider. Obviously, there are some exceptions to it, like for example, like for Maxwell, her burst has like high attack multiplier, and so in that situation, a charge damage is actually not a bad consideration because it's 300%. So like with Maxwell, like she can charge only up to 300%, but her attack during her burst has like really high multiplier, so charge damage ends up being actually like a good stat for Maxwell as well. Another thing, a lot of people have been talking about Bastion versus Resilience. I know some people, I know it's been way past. TLDR, in like some calculation that we have done with Mr. Kanto in chat, it's basically just 1 to 3% difference between Bastion and Resilience. And actually when you have like a reload speed buffer, that calculation comes out that Resilience will be damage better than Bastion. But obviously with how the battle goes, like you're not always going to be reloading while you have the buff, and so there's like some evening out where Bastion will come out on top. At the end of the day, they're basically the same. So in general, how I would rationalize this, if you're going for resilience or bastion, make both of them to level 3. If you have resilience at higher level than bastion, finish that resilience to level 7 and just leave it as is. Or if you're going with higher with bastion, then finish bastion to level 7 and then just keep the other one at level 3. From there, you either have one level 7 and one level 3. I would just like save personally. That's my suggestion. I would just start saving, because we don't know if they're going to add a better cube later down the road. So I would just keep one or the other. In my personal suggestion, if you're still starting out though and you've come across this guide for some reason and you still haven't bought out, my personal suggestion is I prefer resilience over bastion. Resilience does give a little bit more flexibility while fighting bosses and doing mechanics. Like for example, whenever the boss jumps from outside of your shooting range, so like your units will start to reload, but then sometimes when the boss like pops out immediately, you cancel your reload, or if you're letting your units auto, you cancel your reload, right? And so that's why I like having resilience instead, because there is a higher chance of you finishing your reload in that situation. And then just when dealing with other mechanics, you can use resilience as a better window of opportunity to reload. Generally though, how I would kind of summarize it, if you're an assault rifle, shotgun, or submachine gun, you can go with either bastion or resilience. I think both will come out roughly the same damage. For sniper rifle or rocket launcher, resilience is the typical recommendation for that. Usually they have a full charge effect or keeping up a stacks where it's necessary to make it consistent or having a higher shooting uptime. So sniper rifle and resilience, sniper rifle and rocket launcher is good with resilience. And for machine gun, I would go with bastion, because there is a typical wind up time, you know, when you're starting to charge up at the beginning of your attack, there is like a slowdown of that shooting. So I would go with bastion in that situation. There's pull up time, but there is something that Mr. Konto has found out in ours, and that is like if you actually ended up having a 70% reload speed, you can actually reload and continue shooting at max charge or max rate of fire without like having that pull up time after reloading. In my suggestion though, it's not a recommended strategy because it will still require a reload buffer and you have to use a resilience cube, and it's only kind of worth it if you're reloading during the reload buff animation, reload buff duration, right? Like if you ended up reloading without having that, then that resilience is not going to see any dividends. Another stat breakpoint for Alice, you only need to reach 99% charge speed and it's sufficient enough, and it is basically the same as having a 100% charge speed. Mr. Konta also tested it frame by frame for us. And with 100% reload speed, you can actually animation cancel. You can just continuously like hold the attack button, and for like assault rifle or shotgun or something like that, and you can animation cancel the reloading. And then finally, there is one thing that is good to mention here: max ammo breakpoints on overload. In particular, I want to mention it for sniper rifle and rocket launcher because you are going to see a bigger effect on it, because sniper rifle and rocket launcher only have 6 bullets, so there are going to be rounding up and down that's going to be happening. Just gonna give you an example, because here are the different values for max ammo, right? You have up till like different amounts: 60.70, 64, 68, 73, and some of them will give you 3 bullets, some will give you 2 bullets, some will give you like 4 bullets. And in general, there is different breakpoints for the max ammo, and each overload of max ammo is actually calculated to the base ammo and then added separately. What that means is, let's give an example. If you have 56% and 73%, let me show this here. So if you have 56, okay, sniper rifle and rocket launcher sits in the top here. If you have 56% and 73%, basically individually you will go from 6 to 9 bullets, so it's +3, and then 73% you go from 6 bullets to 10 bullets, so it's +4. If you actually add 56 and 73.404, you'll end up with 129 max ammo, which will calculate into 7.7 bullets. Now, let me zoom in this one so you can see it better. So so it will actually calculate into 7.78 bullets, which should round into 8 bullets. But what actually happens is you only get 7 bullets because the 56.6 gives you 3 bullets, which is rounded down from 3.39, and then the 73% is giving you 4 bullets. It's rounded down from 4.38. On the counter side, if you have the one tier higher, so in this situation, see we go from 56 to 60%, you get the 10 cutoff here. If you have 60% and 73%, you end up with +8 because the 60.71% will give you 4 bullets, and then again the 73% will give you 4 bullets also. Yeah, the 60.71 is rounded up from 3.64. So what we're going at here is, it's easier to look into for sniper rifles and rocket launchers. You want to try to go look at this. You can kind of look at this, but there are basically cutoffs when you will start having benefits. So for example, if you have a 77.15% max ammo, that will give you +5 bullets on your sniper rifle or rocket launcher, and that's basically the best. It's the same thing as having the highest, which is this one's 85%, so it's essentially the same. There is another calculation that we need to kind of look more into, but I think that if they are on the same tier, they will be additive to each other. So it's like if you have 277.15%, we think that it's additive to each other, but I need more examples. We need more examples from people because we need enough duplicates to kind of see it. So instead of 77.15, even though they're like individual, you go from +5, and then you have another 77.15. But what if you have like 4 77.15? So it will go 77.15 times 4 times 6 divided by 100, 18.5, right? So in theory, so like, would that be additive? Basically, would it make us instead have 19 bullets instead of 20 bullets? We need more examples on it, and it's hard to find people enough examples for it. But in any case though, if they're in different tiers, that's still worth mentioning. And in general, just try to aim for like the next tier. So instead of going from this tier, I would try to aim for this next tier. Or like if you're at 56%, then you can see that there's gonna be better percentage there. And another thing to mention is tier level 1 to 6 on the rolls. These are the different tiers or attribute levels. Level 1 to 5 is 60%, and then level 6 to 10 is 35%, and then level 11 to 15 is 5%. However, the very first time you roll from tier 9 manufacturer into overload, it is by default at level 11. So you could get lucky if you're that. Anyways, that's the main thing that I wanted to go over. The rest is a list. These are not kind of organized in terms of order, but hey, come on, you guys know how to control F, search for the unit, control F, like Laplace. You guys got it. Anyways, I don't want to order it. I wrote my actual comments. These are my personal comments on this, so these are my comments on why some of the suggestions that I am putting out. Obviously, you go from highest to lowest, from top to bottom in terms of overload suggestion priority, and the yellow are probably the most recommended ones. Orange is kind of like pseudo recommended, like that's middle, and then the white text is the lowest recommendation, but they still are somewhat recommended. And I wrote down my notes on it. What are the cube suggestions and skill suggestions? You guys get it. This is ordered from skill 1, skill 2, and skill 3, either level 7 to 10. For example, on Modernia, I would go with max skill 1 and max skill 2, and then you can settle down with level 7 on Modernia. So these are gonna be it. I wrote down some of there are some units where I wrote down them mainly because I want to suggest the skill, but I'm not really recommending them to overload them. I kind of wrote it down as well, whether you should overload them or not. But here we are. I added Dorothy in as well as the most recent one, and I did not write down every single unit because, yeah, so if you control F and you couldn't find your unit, it's because I probably don't recommend like overloading them. And most of the time, either they're level 1 or 444. That's like my recommendation for these kind of units. But yeah, I wrote down all of these. If anything, a quick TLDR for burst 1. If there's anyone that's good to overload, it would be Litter and Dorothy, and then everyone else you can kind of chill. And for burst 2, I would go with Guilty and perhaps Rupee. That's the main thing. Novel would be useful too with max ammo, but not very necessary because you can kind of settle down with even with just resilience or bastion. She'll do just fine, and she doesn't do that much DPS anyway. But yeah. And I wrote down all the ones that are meta right now in burst 3. I wrote them down. So yeah, that's all that we have here. I wrote down some notes why they are good, or what stats they're good for. And yeah, that's gonna be it. Alright, so I will leave the link in the description below. If you guys want to check me out, make sure to come visit me at Twitch, twitch.tv/SkyJLV. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Alright, chat, we're done. Okay, clip it and ship it. You know, you guys are the most like tame. Other people, I look at other people, they go crazy whenever we're recording video. Everyone is just like drinking their wines. Like, yeah, let's watch this guy make his YouTube video content real quick here. Oh yeah, keep talking. That's literally you guys. You guys are just like, I see everyone else is like, hi YouTube, oh my god, it's YouTube, mom, notice me. We big chillin'. Yeah, I know, you guys are very behaved. There's like a lot of you guys here. All right, chat, we recorded that. Yes, finally. Here's your guide. You guys have been asking for it. Holy.